Hello.
Hello, stranger.
How you doing?
Not bad. It looks like we both got haircuts and beard trims since we last talked.
I don't know if I've taken to the trimmer. I mean, I've.
Just
Uh-oh. Oh, hold on. I've got it on over there. Hold on.
are you vanity like bumping up the vanity numbers here?
Command W. No, wrong one.
This is amazing.
Okay,
Folks, this is
we
nothing but
just
a
lost.
professional podcast.
We just lost our one viewer because I turned off my
It was
machine.
you.
How are we only at one? We usually have like 50 people busting down the door.
No, listen, I'm no podcast expert. My understanding is you're supposed to do stuff on the regular.
You think?
That's what I've been told. I have no idea. That's what they
I
say
don't know.
about YouTube is you're supposed to upload daily, but that
Oh,
sounds that
7.
there you go.
That's
That
pretty
now
good.
that's some of my family. I have a lot of family members, so we'll pull in some more.
Wow.
It's got to at least be my life partner, if the person who brought me into the world.
Hmm.
Sorry, folks, but thanks for joining. Yeah, what's been up? It's been a minute since I saw you. I was looking at the beard primarily because it does look a lot shorter
I
than
did trim
I
it
like.
yesterday
There we go. There we
because
go.
I
Monkey scratching.
figured I had a dentist appointment yesterday,
Oh,
and somebody was like looking close. You probably don't want to be all
yeah. The
messy.
dentist tends
I
to
don't
really
know.
look at my beard when I go in.
Yeah. So so I I don't know about you. Are you are you okay with going to the dentist?
How much trauma do we want to unpack in one
Yeah, I know.
episode?
Is it a traumatic experience for you?
It so I had my eye teeth pulled. I won't say mistakenly, but like pretty early on in life, I must have been like 10. These
Mm.
these ones here. So I have a bridge permanently that I've had
Mm.
since like I was a
Oh,
preteen
wow.
kind of thing.
Okay.
Um, and they gave me pain meds, but they did not work. And it felt like it took an hour. It probably didn't. It probably took like 5 minutes, but it was like
Yeah.
I was screaming and crying, and it was
Yeah.
really traumatic. It took probably until I was in my 30s to not be scared of the dentist any
Yeah.
longer. But I'd be honest with them, and I'd tell them like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
I realize that this is gonna be problematic for me, so let me prepare you," kind of
You're
thing.
right.
I think I'm okay now, but again, that's like years of treating your dentist like a
Yeah.
therapist or something. But yeah, I think I'm over it now.
I'm not.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I can fully
I'm
understand that.
absolutely terrified every time I go to the dentist, and as soon as I sit down in the chair and I see the people around me, it's like, "Oh, I'm good.
It's chill.
I think I'm good."
Yeah.
But and I have to explain to them the whole story because, um, I've this dentist on Bainbridge Island is amazing,
Mhm.
and the previous one I had in Boston, was also really great, and the previous one I had to that in San Francisco was also really great. But before that, I kind of didn't see a dentist for 20 years because I was
Oh,
terrified of dentists. And
right.
every time I go in, it's like, "Oh, yeah, there's no problem. Yep, you're good to
You
go."
you gotta get there, right? You have to set up the
Yeah,
appointment, etcetera, etcetera.
yeah. And so I'm always terrified, always because of that. There was a dentist in where I grew up on Key Biscayne, that I was either Dr. Guthrie or Dr. Handworker. I can't remember which one was which. And I mean, it was like that, the barber in Penny Dreadful, I think it is, or like the is it the barber slash dentist, who's like slicing things up? Um,
I've never seen this show, but like I know why I haven't seen it. It looked too gory for me.
yeah.
So yeah.
That's what I remember of dentistry, and
Ah,
my parents,
mhm.
this was their first dentist in the U.S., having grown up in England, where a country that is not known for good dentistry, um, and so well, this is just normal. I mean, you're supposed to if something's gonna be painful, the dentist is gonna is just going to say, "Bear with it, deal with it," rather
Now,
than
yeah,
any
so for me,
medication.
in particular, one of my parents is not fond of dentists, and I wonder if that's the same for you as well. Because some of those opinions can be like passed down,
Yeah,
even not in like
sure.
maybe not by intent, but when they say, "Oh, I don't go to the dentist regularly," kind of thing, so you're thinking, "Hey, maybe I
Yeah.
don't need to go either."
Well, my daughter, who
Mhm.
is 5, loves going to the dentist.
There you
It
go. See,
is one
now
of
you're
her most
doing
favorite
yeah,
experiences.
you're doing your
She
part.
loves going in every single time. And
Awesome.
yeah, so it is that fear has stopped with this generation.
Now, I don't wanna make this about work, but I'm about to. So one of the things that I used to think about in terms of, like, hygiene, basically, and I use dental hygiene as an example a lot because I
Mhm,
feel like our stories are pretty common. I don't know if it's
mhm.
just our industry or whatever, but a lot of people I talk to are not fond of the dentist, and
Yeah.
not just in a, like, mild way, like, "I don't like the dentist." Yeah, nobody likes the dentist, but, like, actively doesn't wanna go. But by the same token, when you go to the dentist, you understand that hygiene is important and you should be doing these
Mhm.
things, et cetera, et cetera. So like I I think I understand that part, but it's kind of like I think business continuity or DR exercises are the ones that I used to talk about a lot of times. Like, hey, like you're doing your
Mm.
backups, but you gotta check that they're being done. And it's part of like a
Right,
regular care
right,
and it's part of hygiene for your
right.
department. And backups are a bad example. But there's things like game days or failure
Mhm.
Fridays and things like that that are maybe more recent or still relevant.
Well, I mean,
But
I think your backup is a good example because,
I
I
think
mean, you
so.
brush your teeth every day and a couple
Yes.
times a day, and so but you only get validation that you're doing okay. I mean, you don't have eyes that go into your
When you go
mouth,
in and test, right? Yeah, I don't have those
so
those
you
cool
have no
glasses.
way of verifying until you verify.
And I think about that a lot. Like, actually, I still do. Every time I go to the dentist, I'm always thinking about DR and BCP for some reason. But there's a lot involved, and I think one of the things that you said is like, when you get there, you're fine, and that's how I
Yeah,
feel about like the backup and DR process. Like, you think it's going to be a
yeah,
big deal. You set aside 8 hours of time. It takes you
yeah,
like two because you're doing it often, and it's not that bad. But you got to like have a
right,
plan and do it and follow through with it. The
yeah.
other thing is like as dog owners, when I take the dog to the vet, I don't let them know, "Oh, hey, I've scheduled an appointment for you. We're gonna go tomorrow," and then they get all anxious. Would it be easier if we scheduled a doctor's visit for you and just shoved you in the car and you didn't know where you were going, and we told you were going to like going to get some drinks and just drop you out and you're
Um,
like, "Oh, I'm at the dentist.
well,
I'm fine. This is easy."
the downside of that idea is that our dog, because of a few, I think because of a few specific visits to the vet, now every time she gets into a car, she is like this massive vibrator. She's like the
Right, right.
entire time.
Just like so
If we're
nervous with
going,
the
if
engine.
we're going to go for a
Yep.
walk somewhere in some park, she doesn't stop shaking until she gets onto the path.
Oh. Oh.
So.
Yeah, no, I do like that though, because one of our dogs also had the same problem.
Yeah.
So it's like so what we're saying is, like, backup and recovery can be so scary that people will burn out of the industry
Yeah.
completely, which I mean,
Yeah.
could happen, yeah. I had a dog similar to that, and I think with the current dog who does like the car, it does seem like getting him out of the car, even just to go to a
Mm,
park to pretend that's the
right.
destination, even though there might be one a little bit
Yeah.
further, seems to kinda get rid of those jitters as well, so I wonder if that's a
Mhm.
hack, like, get in the car, go to the park, like, real quick, and get them to
Oh,
walk
and
around and then
then
put them
go
back in
to
and
the
then go
vet.
to the real park kinda thing. That's what we're doing. Generally, it's when we cross the border, we'll stop
Mm,
in, like, is it Blaine or Bellingham? But the one right across the border, basically, we'll
mhm,
go to a little park there, and it seems to help. But that to
right.
get there is a 2-hour drive that's, like, fraught with,
Mm,
not yelping, but, like, nervous energy, I
right.
guess. Interesting.
Wow.
I like, as with any analogy, the wheels quickly fall off. Yeah, I just used a car
Yes.
analogy there just to hit this home. I try not to. But yeah, the
Yeah.
dentist for me, I'm not sure if I told you, but the one that I have has a fantastic view of Vancouver. So
Oh, okay.
I used to tell my coworkers if I say I'm taking the day off to go to the dentist, I'm probably interviewing. But if I share shots of
Mhm.
Vancouver, I'm like
Right.
legit at the dentist.
Yeah.
I don't interview often, but like
This
it is really nice.
Yeah. This dentist would there's no I mean, it's uh, Island Garden Dental, so all the windows open out onto this garden, which
Oh,
is nice,
fantastic. Yeah.
but then also all the chairs, all the dentist chairs, when you're lying down, there's a skylight directly above you.
Oh,
So
nice.
all the chairs have skylights, so you're always looking at the
Oh,
sky, and
I
so it's
love
like
that.
you're outdoors, and so that's also pretty nice.
Oh, I had one that had TVs in the ceiling, but this is
Hmm.
like I'm pretty old, so the TVs in the ceiling were like these 17-inch CRTs in like the fall, and I always thought like, you know, how did they attach these up here? Will they
Yeah.
fall on my face while I've got all these
Well,
implements attached?
based on, there's been a few stories of like Boeing planes with slides falling
I,
off
I,
and
I
like
have not not
um
heard any
and
of these
so
stories. I fly too often.
I was lying there thinking, now if they have the prong in my mouth, how much time do I have if I see like a body or something else coming down towards me? Will I escape? That did go through my head.
We got a
We are
comment that I
great
think,
teachers
yeah, I
on
think that
how
might be
to
Sam. Pretty sure.
how to
That's all good. That's all good.
how
We,
to
we've reached the
get
point now
yourself
where we're
out of
getting
a
like,
dentist chair
yeah,
from that
great
falling
teachers for
body.
sure.
Yeah,
Perfect timing.
yeah.
Yeah, the Boeing stuff. I mean, there was a whole last week tonight kind of thing coverage of it that I could not watch. There's been a bunch of news reports that I've been trying to turn a blind eye to because, like,
Yeah.
I think in Canada most of the planes that we fly are Boeing. There are a couple Bombardiers left, but like,
Yeah.
and generally
Well,
the
Bombardier's like that's a Canadian company, aren't they all?
but Bombardier, yeah. No, they're
Bombardier.
mostly Boeing. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Boeing does have offices in Canada as well. So I think
Okay.
that's one of those companies that's kind of cross the border.
Right.
But yeah, it's mostly Boeing planes out of Vancouver.
Do you think Canada will ever try to like tax Boeing on all their income? Like, did you see this thing about GM
I
in
did
San
not.
Francisco?
I did not, but I can imagine we have in terms of like industrial partners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Canada needs business. I'm not sure. Like, this should be a well-known secret. We're
Ah.
trying to bend over backwards to bring corporations to
So
the
so
north of the border.
apparently GM is having to sue the city of San Francisco because San
Wow.
Francisco is saying, well, Cruise is a
Yeah.
GM offshoot. Cruise is operating in San Francisco, so therefore we get taxes for all of GM,
Oh,
like based on all of their revenue. Like, what? That's
that
ridiculous.
that does sound a bit ridiculous. Hmm.
At least that's the take that a lot of people are saying, and so maybe I'm just reading headlines, and so therefore I'm wrong. I don't
Now listen, I don't pretend to understand US lawmaking, but there was another one I saw
know.
recently where there was like some peace accords and a thing about Ukraine
Oh
and
yeah.
Israel and stuff like that. At the very
Hmm.
bottom of this thing, they shoved in some TikTok stuff. Like I understood the rest of this, and even if it's two different countries, like well, it's
Yep.
aid, so it goes in the same bill,
Right.
what have you. Again, not touching the politics of either of these things, but at the very bottom, saying that TikTok's banned in the US as of early next year, kind of thing, and that
Yeah.
the app must be sold. They seem to not have anything to do with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I think generally we all citizens know that politicians are clueless, especially when it comes to anything technical.
Yeah, unfortunately. And this will
Um,
change eventually, but
yeah.
it's also really fast moving. I think you could call TikTok emergent, but maybe 4 years ago, like, this has
Yeah.
already kinda gotten out of hand, unfortunately, and I
Yeah.
know there have been talks back and forth about what to do, and a former president may or may not have been involved, like, there's a lot going on there, there's some history, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
On the other hand, it's like this law had to do with companies over a certain size that were, I think, foreign entities, which I found interesting because I wonder about
Hmm.
like Facebook users versus like WeChat users, which would also be
Hmm.
affected by the TikTok thing, or maybe like Line or Neighbor or Kakao Talk, like things from Japan or Korea who have
Hmm.
like lots of people who are here who speak the language, use the same app, that kind of thing. But it seems to be singling out one specific app.
Hmm.
What I also find interesting is that you've got YouTube over here trying to make is it Shorts? I think YouTube has that it
Hmm.
wants to make popular, and Instagram's got Reels. So it's not like this short video content with an algorithm that makes you want to use it more often.
Right.
Not like that's any stranger to the US. I feel like it's
Right.
because one of these is quite large and is operating by
Yep.
a foreign entity that's on the short list of countries that the US doesn't deal with. And to be
Yeah.
honest, Canada kind of follows suit. So it'll be
Now,
interesting to see what we do.
that that said, TikTok was something for a while. I mean, if I picked up the phone and I
Mhm.
happened to open that I'd be stuck for and not even notice time go by.
Right.
And then my mother introduced me to a game called like, I don't know, Tap Genius, which is like such a stupid, it's not even, there's no skill involved. It's just like you tap and watch these blocks slide away in different directions. And there's zero skill to this. There's just, you click on the next box and it flies away. It's like, oh, well, there it goes. And hours go by. I had to delete both of those things. They're gone.
I'm the same way.
They're
Yeah, you
not on
gotta
my
go cold
system.
turkey.
I don't
I
want
did
it.
use TikTok, and mad respect. Whatever
Yeah.
that FYP algorithm, I think it's For You page, whatever that
Yeah.
algorithm does is magical. I don't know if they're
Yeah.
buying data from other vendors, because like I didn't interact with that app in any way, but it knew I liked mechanical keyboards. And you
Mhm.
may wonder, is there a mechanical keyboard TikTok? Why, yes, it certainly is.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Scott Hanselman's on there, for example. Just like I found him through, again, not
Yeah.
searching for Scott, but it came up my feed
Yeah.
without me saying anything, which is
Right.
magical, but also a little bit scary at the same time.
But that said, I mean, I wonder if TikTok will ever disappear from US users' hands.
It might
I
be difficult. Yeah.
it's kind of, I mean, first off, okay, first this ban doesn't take effect for like a year. And
It's 9
then
months, I think, right? Or
9
at the
months,
time it was
okay.
9 months, maybe 8
And
now.
then there's all sorts of legal things that are going to happen. And so that 9-month delay, that 9 months is going to get
Could be
either
delayed.
pushed out 5 to 10 years or just, not take effect at, or, it'll just be pushed out and
Right.
not allowed to go through. Or it does go through, but there's these things called VPNs. And I think, they'll make it super easy to still access that content from
Right.
another, if TikTok wants to cease business in the US.
Right.
Or yeah, I
It
don't know.
I mean, the website's still there, because I've
Yeah.
people send me TikTok links, so I'll click on them,
Yeah.
and you can watch, like, one, is it a tick or a talk? You can watch one TikTok,
Yeah.
and then you're kinda done. You have to log in, sort of thing, but that works for me for the
Yeah.
most part. It's totally fine. The other is that it looks like the app won't be available in the App Store, but if I know Apple well, they can't delete the app. Having
Right.
downloaded Flappy Bird back in the day,
Right.
it'll
Yeah.
stay on your phone for a while.
Yeah.
The other thing is, like, we tried this with Fortnite, and I think there's still quite a few iOS users of Fortnite who used to
Mhm.
have the app that still use it. So there's a lot of stuff
And
kind of
even
coming
if,
into play here.
even if the app is removed from the App Store at some point
Right.
in the future, there are apps that have been removed from the App Store, but they're still I can still download it from the App Store. Is that what you were saying?
I was, and I think
Okay.
that so I thought that was true up to a point. I think at some point in time, your OS would be updated to a point where, like, the
Oh,
old
sure.
app
Sure.
won't
Yeah.
load, but
Yeah.
that's about it, honestly. There's no
Yeah.
other like, if you own a
Yeah.
version, basically, you can go back, and that's great on Apple. Like, you bought an
Right.
app that for some reason the developer no longer offers it, you still have access to it. Awesome.
Yeah. That said, it's
Still
possible. I
Yep,
mean, they could just like completely remove it potentially.
yep.
And like, what was, and would they be able to remove it from your phone? There was that case
No, I don't
of,
think so.
the Kindle. Remember, there was a few years back, people who bought a book and then an update was made to some update had to happen that was not, people didn't want. And so like pages were removed from the book.
Yeah, Brian
And
Brian in the
so,
chat saying the exact same thing. Yeah,
yeah,
so apparently that had happened to Kindles. That I had not heard of this.
yeah.
That would make me livid. I guess not to get into
Uh,
the whole digital content ownership thing, but
yeah.
we can wade into this a little bit. It feels like, what do I own? And I guess the answer at the end of the day is you own nothing when you buy, like,
You
a
own nothing.
digital
You own a license to
purchase.
use
Yeah.
the material. You never
Yeah.
own the the software.
I don't want my first edition ebook being updated. It's very odd though, like, when I think
Yeah,
about these
deleted
companies
books
that
purchased that were pulled
right.
from the store. Yeah,
Yeah, like, that's not cool at all.
yeah.
Or was it Microsoft canceled their video streaming service or something like that, where people had purchased videos, it just the store wasn't there anymore, so they lost licenses to it. Which I don't know. That whole I think Sony was doing something similar where, like, a bunch of rights got removed from their library, so you lost
Mhm.
access to things that you purchased. But if it was Sony content, like Spider-Man movies or what have you, it remained. I again, I think I'm right here, so correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but like I worry about those digital platforms going away as a whole and
Right.
removing your access to it. That's like a whole like if
Yeah.
my digital library is all on Sony movies because I decide to
Right.
do it that way and I lose access to it, that's rather unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
So
we're talking about sideloading. That was another thing. So in Europe, if they were to ban this, where I think they've allowed sideloading or are about to, I wonder what that would look like. So if could we
Mhm.
have like a TikTok app center that has other Tencent apps or what have you in there, or
Mhm.
ByteDance apps? My apologies. Yeah,
Yeah.
there are a whole bunch of reasons why this may not work at all.
Right. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I feel like this has so many possible implications that we don't
Mhm.
know yet. Just like, um, anybody trying to push into law that AI developers, whether they're model researchers or AI tool vendors, should limit what they do, limit, as it approaches to this mythical AGI at some point in the next few decades, they should pull back from ever allowing that. But the rest of the world's not going to do that. And, there's all sorts of other just things that people, I mean, there's going to be all sorts of implications to that again, we don't know.
Yeah, Brian's got a good point in the chat here about the apps. It's like there not a lot of checksums in 2024.
Yeah.
So people actually checking the validity of the packages
Yeah.
that they're downloading is still not a thing. We've been
Mhm.
distributing PGP keys or GPG, I guess, in the community, like open source community, for a very long time.
Right.
But I don't know how quickly that's going to be a thing in
Mhm.
whatever this new app store is, because the fake TikTok app, like that already sounds like an easy way to get money, is to create a
Right.
fake
Right.
TikTok improved, or what was it,
Yep.
YouTube Vanced, I guess, on Android, like something like that, where you've got like your
Mhm.
own version of TikTok that you're distributing and collecting money
Right.
for, and it's got nothing to do with the parent company.
Right.
It's all bad.
Mm. Well,
Well, I'm sure it'll get better. Anyway,
mm.
maybe app stores need to die. Is sort of the other thing here. Maybe we need to go back to web apps.
Yeah. No.
You don't
No.
like web apps?
I hate web apps.
What is that framework? React Native, right? You write once, run everywhere?
Yeah. Oh, is that like Java?
Exactly. Thank you for picking up on what I was putting down. Exactly like Java.
God.
When I went to university, they told me I could write one line of code and it would run on every device. As long as you port it to every device, yeah, it'll run. No problem.
Yeah.
Other than that, so listen, we haven't talked in a minute, but I've been watching
We
a lot
haven't.
of TV and movies because I
Yes.
guess that's what I do now. It's been rather rainy here, although it's sunny today, so I've been sort of a homebody. But I started watching Fallout and could not finish the series because it is one like. Have you played the Fallout games?
I no, but
Okay,
it's not. Is it anything to do with BioShock? Or are those are two separate games, right?
two separate games.
Okay. Yeah. No, I have not played Fallout.
Two separate games. In fact, a BioShock TV series I would watch for maybe similar reasons. Just very curious about how they'd
Yeah.
handle it. Have you ever played like a role-playing game that's kind of open world where you get to choose your own decisions, basically? So if someone comes up to you, you can choose whether you're good or evil. I think there was
Mhm.
it White and Black or something like
White
that?
and
There was
Black.
Fable, I guess.
That's
Is
what I was
one.
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, Fable was
Yeah.
one. White and Black, I think, was the original.
Yeah.
Where you get to decide if you're like a good character or a bad character. Spoiler to probably nobody, I role play as a kind character in most of my playthroughs. So when I'm watching Fallout the TV series, I'm actively angry that they're not like nice. And then of course they introduce the nice character and they're dumb as toast. And then I'm just frustrated with it. It's like watching a horror movie where you're angry, like, no, don't go into the woods alone. It's a terrible idea. And it feels like watching torture. It's so gory and gruesome and
It is.
it's a lot. I think I've watched 6 episodes, so I've only got 2 left if I have the numbering right. But yeah,
I
it's
seem
a
to
lot.
remember either 6 or 7 were like, oh, it's too bad it's going down, and then it came back up, and I have enjoyed the
Probably what
entire
happened in
series.
episode 6.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll power through the other 2. It is
Yeah.
extremely well shot.
Yeah.
The voice acting, like the
Yeah.
production value is very
Yeah.
high quality.
Yeah.
Normally, I'd say like, hey, the acting's bad, but like now the acting's pretty
No.
good. The
No.
plot seems to be pretty good. It's just a
Yeah.
little bit more, again, maybe a little bit more American or gruesome for me than I want. But I understand,
Yeah.
like the game is like that. Like you can certainly play
Oh, is it?
that, and it does push you down some of these paths where you have to make decisions that are difficult.
Mhm.
Again, having played through a little bit of Fallout 3 New Vegas and quite a bit of 4, it tracks. But yeah,
Yeah.
what I also find interesting is this like almost shuttered game. I think that's 6 years old now. Fallout 76 has shot up to
Hmm.
the top of the Steam charts in popularity
Oh, yeah?
because they've got like a movie property attached to it. And we saw the
Hmm.
same thing kind of happen with Cyberpunk, which I liked. And
Mhm.
I did wonder if this would ever happen to Fallout 76, if there was like a retribution arc or something here where they could come out and say, hey, this game's actually like pretty well designed. It was launched super buggy, but unfortunately the
Mhm.
skeleton crew that stayed on fixing the bugs did
Right.
fix the bugs, and now it's okay. But that this newfangled way of releasing a game that's buggy and then somehow boosting it with marketing later to get in there, like
Mm.
it feels bad for the devs. Like, won't anyone
Yeah.
think about the people doing all this crunch and stuff? Anyway, way off on a
Mm.
tangent here, but yes, I'm happy people are appreciating a game that
Yeah.
devs have probably spent years of their lives on.
Right. Right.
I think that's a nice outcome.
Yeah. Hmm.
Did you
Yeah,
watch
I've
Fallout with your
enjoyed
partner?
Fallout. I've enjoyed Fallout. Although Tony could not watch it.
That's what I was
She
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm not interested in this. This is
I
Yeah.
I don't blame her. Like, yeah,
Well,
that's
it's, it's funny, it felt there were a few times I was thinking, "Wait, is this like season 2 of Silo?"
okay. Thank you. This is the other wrinkle. Did they not rip off a whole bunch of Silo's plot? And please don't spoil the last 2 episodes for me, but, like, a lot of the, like, mise en scène, the sort of, like, setting the scene or the world building of the
Right.
beginning of the series felt really similar to Silo the books, but not Silo the
Mm,
TV series. So someone
okay.
read the source material and then kind of incorporated that into that, because I don't recall any of that being in Fallout, or maybe it's later on in
Mm,
the game that they go through the story, but I don't recall that. That
yeah.
that certainly didn't come out.
I
Like,
mean,
they do
again, I
have
didn't play the
vaults.
game, but I've watched Silo and Fallout, and I now have Wool, the first book of Silo, which I've been meaning to read, but,
Right.
that's
Wool is
I
the
don't
best
know.
one for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, and it only goes downhill after that. Silo's not a bad book at all. The series was pretty good, but the
Yeah.
books are pretty good. Silo, the first book, the Wool one, is definitely the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would disagree. Mostly
Yeah.
because there is like world building and understanding what
Yeah.
actually happened, and there's a little bit of mystery as well because there's a there's a like a sort of a cliffhanger in there and like a
Mhm.
surprise that yeah
Mhm.
that'll there are in the other books but not to the same extent. So I would recommend powering through. It's an easy read too. I think I read it in 2
Yeah.
days. Like
Oh, really?
it's it's written well, but there's a lot of dialogue and the dialogue is
Okay.
good, but because it's dialogue you can just plow through it. There's a ton of
Mhm.
dialogue. Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite easy to finish
I
very
read the
quickly.
first 2 pages, and then I put it down, and I forgot about it for, like, 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and
Now,
now I'm remembering.
it is one of these books with a female protagonist, and I'm not saying
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with this
Uh,
at all, but I do
uh-huh.
find that sometimes I have a harder time getting into a book with a female
Mm.
protagonist. In this
Right.
case, they're basically a hacker, so they're working on an engine all the time, and I think for me that was
Mhm.
kind of an in to understanding the
Right.
character is that they're fixing stuff, and it kind of felt
Yeah.
like IT work for the silo
And
and things like
I
that.
mean, that's what's in the TV series as well. I mean, that's
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I think they did a good job of the TV series. There's a lot more interpersonal relationships in the series.
Mhm.
Again, it's just one of those like TV tropes, but I
Mm.
think it was handled pretty well. It wasn't over the top. Yeah,
Yeah.
not bad at all. But yeah, I did find that a little bit interesting, and there was a little bit
Hmm.
of Westworld in there
Yeah.
too.
Oh, it's the same director or producer as Westworld?
Okay. Because yeah, there was
Yeah.
a bit of like that look and feel,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I recognized immediately. Like, oh, wait a second, this
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
like Westworld. Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. I
Not the
loved
Michael Crichton
Westworld.
version, but the yeah.
Yes, yes. Now
Uh,
the Michael Crichton movie jacket. In fact, there's some scenes in Fallout that look just like the movie
Really?
jacket.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. because one of the characters that we're following in Fallout is kind of like a fictional sheriff, I think, and then there's a bit of that
Oh, right.
in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Hmm.
I love all this stuff though. Sorry, hitting the mic,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I love all the like post-apocalyptic sci-fi
Yeah.
society kind of like, are there laws? Are there no laws? What do they do? Similar to, I guess. Oh, what's the one with the Thunderdome one? Oh, shoot, I should know this.
What, Mad Max and
Mad
Thunderdome?
Max, yes.
Okay.
Mad Max. Also very
Tina
interesting to me
Turner?
that whole society that they've built around it and like
Yeah.
what their
Two-man
money
enter, one
is.
man leaves.
Yes, I love that. Yeah. Or one person enters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, fantastic series.
Um,
But I
yeah.
love all that stuff. So I feel like adding more to that canon is great as well. I'd like to see more sci-fi. I
Right.
realize that like on the whole, most people don't like sci-fi, but
Yeah.
I will watch most sci-fi even if it's
Yeah.
bad.
I started playing a movie. It just happened to turn it on, and then I had to stop soon after, and I didn't turn it on again. Was I Am Legend?
Oh, I've seen that a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, which was pretty good.
It was surprisingly okay. I wanted to
Yeah.
hate it because I'm not a big fan of
Yeah.
Will Smith, the actor, but like it was
Yeah.
all right, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a little bit more machismo, I think, and sometimes a little bit difficult to believe as that kind of character.
Yeah.
But I think on the whole, he did a pretty good job, actually. And the
So there's
setting
a
was
question
cool.
here. Anyone stumbled on tutorials pointing to Gits that have been maliciously altered?
Oh, Hmm.
I haven't seen. I mean, I haven't. Maybe I have. I just don't know it.
Yeah. There's things like there's typo squatting and stuff like that you can do. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's say a company may have started with a certain
Mhm.
capitalization of their name and
Right.
not using another, and somebody comes along and does it all lowercase or something like that. Yeah.
There was something.
No,
There was a
GH2, I
link that
think
was
this is a
posted.
common idea. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a somebody posted a link to something on the Olama Discord 2 days ago, 3 days ago,
Yeah.
in the morning before like any of the moderators were on,
Yeah.
and it was just basically there was one letter all the way in the side the. I mean, it looked pretty legitimate, and it was like gonna give you $50. I mean, it was a little scammy because the way these like posts like click this link and they're gonna give you $50. Like, okay, that's gonna be a scam.
Red flag.
And yeah, it was. I didn't click on it, so I don't know what it was like, but yeah.
Yeah, there's also like the Unicode squatting stuff that's happening too, which is really difficult to handle because it looks like a valid URL and it is a valid URL, but like that N might actually be a completely different character.
Right.
Even though
Right.
It's getting to be very difficult. There used to be Web of Trust. Do you remember this plugin? It would tell you whether or not the site you're on was trusted. But of course, it turned out they were like, I mean, everybody kind of knows this, but any of those plugins that run in your browser, following you the whole way through the web, and what they do with that data is kind of up to them. So, not accusing Web of Trust of doing this, but they certainly were collecting data as you went around.
So I have a problem with that. I have this one of my email. I have a bunch of email addresses. Most of them I don't use, but there's this one that's on Yahoo, and it was a pretty. I mean, it's kind of my shortened version of my name, but for a while, apparently Yahoo was allowing people to, if it was Ryan and you signed up for Ryan all lowercase, somebody else could sign up for Ryan with a capital R, and it was a different account.
They made it case sensitive.
All mail, forwarding doesn't work like that, and so I get all this guy's junk email, and there's so. I mean, this guy is subscribing to all sorts of bizarro stuff, and and also all sorts of like gun toting. It's like that's not me.
Definitely not me.
And yeah, it's so that kind of thing is possible depending on the platform too. I mean, it's similar.
Yeah, I think Gmail had some weird things with periods at one point in time. So with or without them, it's like they ignored it. But I've received email from somebody who has my exact name and lives in my area. And I think they had signed up to a volunteer fire department thing, and
Oh
like they
yeah,
changed the date on him. And I was like, "Hey, buddy, this email is meant for you. You better show up." And he sent me an
right,
email like, "Thank you so much. I would have missed it, etc., etc." But it's happened a couple times where they, and
yeah,
it's not that the person giving me email to the person writing it down is wrong. It's that the
right,
person writing it down messes up, and I get their email
right,
uh, all the time.
yeah.
It's rough.
Mm.
I've also got a domain that's like one letter off a very popular, I think it's Spanish bank, where they like may
Oh really?
forget the last letter, and it like I've got to catch all, so I get a ton of email. It's
Yeah.
it's not good,
Like,
not good. Anyway,
wow.
full disclosure, I am a genuinely kind person in my old age. I try to do the right thing.
Oh, when emails come in for this other guy to my email address, I sometimes reply
You
in
just run
ways
with
that he
it.
would not like,
Just like,
suggesting that
but
this
they've got
person
your
is
reply
not.
address.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Which I think is his.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
Fair
yeah.
enough. Brian was saying that he was watching a video the other day on YouTube, and somebody was using a forked version of a repo without realizing that it wasn't the original. And I feel like that's also happening. I've seen
Ah,
this with like
yes.
Ansible and Chef stuff already,
Right.
where somebody may be using something down the pike, or like a Helm chart that's not official, or
Yeah.
Docker container. It's like you don't know what the source is. All like these SBOM questions that I've got, like where did the code come from? What, like, how was it checked? Who's doing all this work? And it's already becoming a thing. So clickjacking repos, I can't imagine it's far down in the future. It's a lot.
Yeah. Why is this person posting?
I believe they're watching the video later. So sometimes when you start the
Well,
live, it will
but
go
why
back to
are
the
they
beginning.
like reposting the same comments other people have? This person posted something that Brian posted, and now they're
Oh, it's a
posting.
new form of spam. We're learning here. Okay, so
So
what you got
maybe
to
we
do is
should
get your
just
bot to join the
ban
spam.
user.
Yeah, read what other people have said and then just repeat it. Interesting. An echo bot. We're learning a lot today.
Delete. I'm bad. I'm
There we
getting
go.
deleted.
Well, good thing we've got a moderator who's
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just love it. This is the age that we're in, though. Like the
Yeah.
age of the grift that is impossible
Yeah.
to tell from the real thing.
Right. And so I'm sort of, I mean, the grift, sort of related. Sometimes people ask, why do I moderate all my comments on my YouTube channel?
Yep.
So I don't let them all go through. What? I thought I just banned this person.
They
Put
can
user in
ignore it now.
timeout.
There we go.
So I always, moderate all my comments.
Mhm.
And the reason was I reviewed something and like a competitor posted a comment that's basically said they're evil because of you can't delete them. They're um yeah, so they were posting bad stuff about this competitor of theirs in my feed, and so I
Right.
was like, "This is crazy. I'm not gonna. I don't want to be that for be the reason why somebody's gonna go down." Yeah,
Right. And look, if I were to put my brain in the mind of a bad actor, the first thing I do is
right,
create other sock puppet accounts to go through and then like
right.
upload the comments that are bad and get it to the top of the
Hmm.
list. And then people log in and look at it and assume that you're
Right.
condoning this type of behavior. And it's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, I totally get you.
yeah.
What are you playing with there? Like a socket wrench?
I sorry.
We got you.
I am.
I'm playing with my AirPods case, which is always a danger in itself. That's why I got the
Could
other
you
mic.
hear that?
Oh yeah, yeah, clear as day.
Really?
Yeah, your mic's amazing. Yeah, that's what I thought. I figured it was a socket wrench.
It's a really cool one too. It's this
Let us know
tiny
in the
thing.
chat if you could not hear it, but I'm pretty sure it does look cool. What you got there? It's tiny.
It's
That is
so
awesome.
it's a little socket wrench that is, I don't know, an inch and a half long. But then I have an extender that pops in here, and so it gives it a
Ooh.
little bit of length. And then in my wallet, I store this in my wallet.
Wow.
along with, what is this?
The
1,
bit?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16 bits,
Whew,
and that
that's an
all fit
everyday
in a
carry.
wallet, which is pretty cool.
Wow, that is pretty cool. Now, have you used it?
I have.
There you go. There you go. So yeah,
It's
once it
been
gets
pretty
field
amazing.
use, yeah, once it
It,
gets field
it,
use, you're good to go.
yeah, yeah.
That is really cool. I will often carry around like tools and stuff like that in my car, but in my pockets, I typically just have like a wallet. That's it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I see these people with like everyday carries, and they're like carrying knives and guns. Like, no, I don't need.
You
I
don't need
can't think
weapons with
of.
you?
I can't think of a single time I have ever thought, "Gosh, I wish I had a knife on me."
I
I
mean,
mean,
I
if
can,
other than
but
like
it's not about like
packages,
protection. Yeah, it's like
no,
hiking and like
packages, and then I've got
Yeah.
a knife right by where I bring packages in. So it's like, well, why would I carry this around?
Also true.
I mean, I have a knife that I keep in the car, like for occasion you need to actually spread peanut butter on a sandwich when you're I mean, so, and just in case, because it's like a
Yeah,
screwdriver and that type of stuff
like a
for.
butter knife or something. That's what you keep in
Yeah,
your car. Just
that's what I should use, but I've got this, like some Gerber Leatherman like thing. But no, I've never thought, gosh, it would be great to have a knife. And one time I did have a knife, and I went through TSA and said, you can't have this. We're getting rid of it. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Okay.
That was the last time I had a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
I went through TSA years ago, and they took it away from me. And it was just one of those tiny little things. And I would
Yeah.
generally use the nail clippers on there, like the
Yep.
little scissors to fix my nails up. That's about it. Never carried a weapon in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with a backpack, even then I can get away with the everyday carry. Like I'll have some stuff in my backpack, some earplugs, some batteries, just standard stuff.
But as soon as you post a comment like that in any one of these like EDC things, you're gonna see other people saying a toothbrush can be a weapon, justifying a knife. Like, what?
Wait, what? I thought it was the other way around. Like, yeah, I don't need a knife. I've got a toothbrush. Then I'll carry a toothbrush.
So the toothbrush is a weapon, so therefore I should carry a knife. Like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, now we got people in the chat discussing which weapon is the best to have with you. I generally find like not getting into conflict is the easiest way. Conflict avoidance or resolution. I understand that that's not always a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in terms of everyday carry, I've got something pretty small. Have I talked to you about the Coral before, the TPU?
You have not.
I have not. Okay, so I finally got one. It finally came in. I got it from Japan. They're hard to find now. I'm not sure if I've mentioned. So there's a PCIe version, which I think is harder to find now. I get the USB-C version. Now, even though it's a TPU, this is like, imagine OpenCV is kind of like what it can actually do. So I'm trying to set up Frigate with a camera to do essentially box detection to tell me when the family is home versus when we're not. So the people in the house, as opposed to some people are at my door.
Right.
Somebody that I recognize is at my door. That kind of thing. And it's going to take a while. I think you have to train it and let it know, like, these are all the jackets I have, for example, because it's a little bit overhead. It might take a minute. The dogs, I think, should be pretty quick. But yeah, for the humans, unfortunately, I looked through our coat closet and we've got quite a few jackets. So it's going to take a minute. But it's pretty neat in that it's supported natively on the QNAP NAS, which is why I got it. Honestly, I like to accessorize things. So I just grabbed it to see if I could plug it in and make it work. And it will go through facial recognition on your pictures as well, which might be fun.
So
I can go through and grab like family photos and stuff like that, which I'm getting really bad at collecting now. I take a lot of them, but I don't share them often or collect them into folders. That's kind of what, like, I think all told, this is about $110. It should be 80 US, but it was about 110 Canadian. So maybe that's 90 US. But it's been sold out for a while. And they're pretty handy.
It's a pretty common request on the Ollama Discord
to support these.
On the Ollama Discord, does Ollama support that, or how can I get it to work? It's like, you can't.
No, this isn't even
the way to get that to work is to return it and use the money to buy a GPU that is supported. I mean, that's
Yeah, what did I see the other day? An M40, I think, with 24 gigabytes of memory for not a lot of money, $300.
Yeah,
They're really old, but they've got a lot of video
yeah,
memory. If you're okay dealing with like slower video memory.
right. Yeah, there was something I saw pretty recently that was a little, I mean, a box that similar size, a little bit
Mhm.
bigger than that thing, that was also USB and had a NVIDIA GPU in it.
Oh, cool.
don't think that supported either, but it was like that. I mean, that's like the ideal kind
Yeah,
of form factor for, attached to a laptop. It would be
exactly.
amazing.
Exactly. Even for like OpenCV development, I can see this being really handy because you could plug
Hmm.
it in, see if the model works, and then ship it to a
Right,
box that has like a card or what have you.
right,
Or maybe something a bit faster. They're not fast as well, I should say. Like the
right,
processing power in these was great at the time when it launched, but now it's ancient,
right.
unfortunately. Um, but it's still like in terms of the space within a NAS, doesn't take as much
Hmm.
space within the NAS. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Brian, yeah, okay. We're Brian, you're helping us out a lot here. So I didn't realize that they're two cards in one. So yeah, that can be if it's two 12 gig cards, that's not the same as one
Mm,
24 gig card. Thank you. That's a good point. So maybe that's why they're cheap, is that people are buying them
hmm.
for generative AI use and don't realize it's a little
Right.
bit harder to make work than they thought. Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh, yeah. So another thing, yeah, it depends on the models that you're using. So again, I hate to say this, but a friend of mine asked me to help him get started with Gen AI, and we built
Hmm.
some kind of a, shall I say, shitbox? Like not great, like a 6-year-old computer with
Yeah.
64 gigabytes of memory, so enough to get good answers from a pretty
Right.
big model slowly. So the answers
Yeah.
we were using LM Studio. Please don't hate me. He's rather new, and I figured this would be the easiest way
Sure.
to do it.
Sure. Yeah.
He got started 10-minute answers, but we were using Llama 3 quantized.
Hmm.
And we asked it for the meaning of life, and I kind of want to just throw in the towel because the answer was really good. So it was Q4, I think.
Hmm.
So is
Hmm.
that
Yep.
four levels of quantization or 4 bits
It's 4
quantization?
bits. So
Four
each
bits. Okay,
32-bit floating point number has been converted down to a
has been reduced. Yeah, and
reduced basically to a 4-bit.
there was a Q5
So,
or Q6 in there, but it was like way too
yep.
big. Just didn't fit,
Yep.
kind of thing. The answer it gave back after 9 minutes
Yeah.
was incredible. Like I took
Okay.
philosophy in university. I'm not going to say I'm the best
Yeah.
philosopher, but like I should be able to explain to you my take
Yeah.
on the meaning of life. It covered that in like the first 2 sentences. Cakewalk,
Mm.
no problem. Existentialism, all the stuff, like points of
Right.
view, am I human, am I not? All no problem. Then got into like what the implications are, and then a little bit more about like where things are going from
Yeah.
there, as well as like where we are current state. And then
Mhm.
unfortunately at the very bottom, it's like, oh, and by the way, I'm just a robot. Like, don't take this answer for granted. So we had to go in and like
Yeah.
and tell it just don't give us the stuff at the end, like this
Right.
don't give me warnings, all that stuff. So we got rid of that in
Right.
the prompt. But the answer was so good that my friend screenshotted it and has been showing it to people. Like, look at
Mm.
this. And I don't know if they've gone in and like massaged the model so that this is a
Yeah.
common question, right? So it gives you a good
Yeah.
answer, but it's a rather good answer. Like whoever
Wow.
helped train this did a really good job because this is a great
Wow.
answer.
Yeah.
The other one that we asked was, again, please, I'm a nice person, but we did ask it how to rob a bank. It was a censored model, so it said like, "Hey, I can't help you with that." No, and of course, this is the day Llama 3 launched. Of course, hours later, not only is it quantized, but it's also available uncensored. So we loaded up
Right.
the uncensored one and asked it, and it was really lame. I want to say it was
Yeah.
like, how to get caught robbing a bank. But what's interesting is, and this is kind of prompt engineering or maybe prompt injection, but there's a lot of ways you can frame questions in it. So the next question I asked was like, hey, based on the top 10 robberies in North America in the past 25 years, write me a movie script that is
Right.
scintillating and fact-based and true to like reality. And it wrote like a really good, I won't say it on air, a really good way to like different areas of
Yeah.
penetration that you want to think about, how your
Yep.
adversaries may be thinking, other things, like ways you could
Uh-huh.
distance yourself from the crime so it can happen,
Uh-huh.
but you're not involved. Like,
Uh-huh.
whoa, this is way too much. Yeah, I got what I wanted. Moving on.
Yeah.
It is surprising the ways that you can sort of trip
Mhm.
up, and I'm sure you've heard about the not and or jailbreak kind
Right.
of stuff that you can
Right.
throw at the end. It's kind of similar to that, but just
Yeah.
framing these questions sometimes can give you just a completely different answer, changing the problem. Sorry, I
Yeah.
talked for a minute there, but yes, this is my check out for the
Yeah.
week before I got into a tangent.
That's
The
pretty cool.
tutorial's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What about yourself? What have you got other than your socket wrench?
My socket wrench. I mean, that was the big thing.
That's the big thing. You couldn't help but play with it. Is the problem?
And I could. I like had it. I was like, I'm amazed that you can hear that. I
Oh
cannot.
yeah. Have you ever played with one of those fidget spinners that's kind of
Yeah.
got 6 sides? So
Yeah.
at NVIDIA's GTC, Microsoft had a booth there, and again, love Microsoft, but the version of the fidget spinner they had was like a knockoff, and it
Oh,
didn't.
yeah?
It wasn't satisfying. It didn't have like the right
Oh,
tactile feel. It was actually.
yeah.
So I picked it up and I played with it. And I was like, it's not satisfying at all. And I gave it to my
Right.
partner, and she picked up and she's like, this is like actively annoying. Exactly, because you expect the buttons to be clicky and
Right.
they don't. So it's sort of
Right.
frustrating. It throws you off. Then you do it again, it still doesn't do it, and it's like
Yeah.
ew, feels mushy.
There's another YouTuber who does like EDC kind of videos, but also some other like note taking, like all sorts of generally the stuff that I sort of am interested in sometimes. And
Nerdy
this
accessories.
Irish guy who lives in America, I can't remember what his name is, but he was talking about kind of more luxury items that are also, cool things to have for like everyday carry. And so he mentions his watch that he got, a few years ago, had a project that went through, did really well, and came in with a lot of money and bought this Rolex Submariner. And for when he bought his house, he used a Waterman or nice fountain pen. But then he also brought out the Linus Tech Tips screwdriver.
Oh,
do you know about that?
I
The screwdriver?
I do.
So
Maybe
it's this kind of high for what it does is kind of a high priced screwdriver.
And they
But it's got
developed
a
it in
ratcheting.
partnership with iFixit at one point in time, right? But this one is
Was it?
not. Yeah, so the toolkit
This
was,
one
but
has
the
a
screwdriver
ratchet.
is not. Yeah, the screwdriver isn't.
And apparently the ratchet itself, it was talking about, it's a really satisfying sound. It's like good, like every click, it's just perfect. I mean, it was like going really into this in a way I hadn't seen covered before. And so when I thought of fidget spinner, maybe the Linus Tech Tip screwdriver is the same thing.
Now I feel awful because I believe G2HO may perhaps not be a spammer because I think they found this channel for you. Is it Urban Gentry? Does that sound right?
Does not sound familiar.
Okay. There we go.
Well, I will have to look.
Oh, and Brian's chiming in that the P100 actually, which is another older, cheaper card, can be used for just like things such as embeddings and entry recognition, which is a good point. Entity recognition, which is a good point because a lot of these older cards, even though they may be less powerful, if you're using them as part of a chain, you can have some steps done with the cheaper cards, while the other bigger cards are doing something else. So I've got like a 3070, which isn't a great card that I use for some stuff, and then a couple 3090s as well.
I spent a lot of time thinking about
this. Marcus O'Brien.
There we go, Marcus O'Brien.
Yes,
we got it. And a 4090. Okay, so Brian's saying the same thing. We're learning a lot today. I like this. I love it when the chat is vibrant like this.
Yes. There's something else I was going to say. That was good.
I did wear a different shirt today.
Oh, it's not the Australian Datadog one. What is this thing?
I've lost like 30 pounds, I think. I'm not sure if I mentioned this to the channel, but I've had like an immune system reaction, I think, due to pollen, because I'm pretty allergic to pine and became allergic to like a lot of stuff, including yeast and potatoes and corn.
Yeah.
Which are like in everything.
All the good stuff.
So I can't eat anything. So I'm eating a lot of like
cardboard,
not even meat and potatoes, meat and veggies that aren't potatoes kind of thing. So I'm back to pretty much my normal weight, so I can fit in all my Samsung shirts now. And you can tell because this is an ancient version of Ubuntu.
Right.
But yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. Chat's super active. Huh.
That's good. My videos have been pretty active recently.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
The last 2 videos have been The one I did on Friday is now at, it's like a lot.
You may have missed it earlier. I didn't want to pump the ego up too much, but somebody did thank you for the high quality of your videos. Pretty early in the
Oh,
stream.
that was nice.
Uh,
So the one from Friday is at 27,000 views, which is
whoo!
amazing.
That is amazing.
And the
So they
one,
said, thank you for everything, Matt. You are the best! Exclamation point! Exclamation point!
and the one today. So the one on Friday was my best performing video I've ever had.
Congrats.
It was my best performing video I've ever had.
Okay.
It is now the second best performing video I've ever had.
All right. Did you release something
So,
Monday?
I released something earlier today,
There you go.
and it's at 2,500 in a couple hours, 3 hours.
That
So
is
it's.
awesome. Should I watch it, or is it just not interesting?
Oh yeah, you should watch it like 6 times.
We'll do. I'll put it on repeat.
There were a few. I did a few live streams last week. Like I thought, well, let me just. So
while you're at the conference, or?
Well, no. I've often wanted to do live streams, but I always think, I love doing this with you, but it's definitely, this is the one thing I'm doing right now.
Right.
Other than playing with a ratcheting screwdriver, it is the one thing.
Other than this sponsored item,
it is the one active thing I'm doing right now.
Yep.
So a stream, you are actively participating in this thing, and you're not doing anything else. And so I've always, I need to get this other thing done. So therefore, I don't have time to do a stream.
Right.
And so last week, I had a script written for a video, and I thought, well, let me just record it and just happen to open up a stream and actually record it while I'm streaming.
Love doing that. The live working thing. Yeah.
And then people are asking questions after I'm done. A bunch of people came in like what is going on here? But
I've noticed
eventually,
they tend to come at the end of the stream, right? Like the longer you stream, the more people will join, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I ended up doing that and then editing the video on the stream. And so I ended up doing
the whole process.
About 2.5 hour stream. I didn't finish the video, but I got a lot of the way through it.
That's awesome.
And I had it was about 2.5 hours, and I think about I want to say like 3,000 people have seen it.
Fantastic.
For a live stream, live stream that was no effort because I need to do this thing.
You've put in the work to get here. Let's
to get here. Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, it feels like no effort now, but like your whole life led to this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But doing it, not doing the stream versus doing the stream, there wasn't really much extra effort I had to do because of the experience that I've had.
I wonder.
So it was kind of like free viewers.
Process while you were doing your.
Yes, I learned that it was so much fun.
Because I learned that like, hey, you're doing stuff wrong, and people would give me like Vim tips and stuff like that. Like, thank you very much. Like I suck at Vim. Now you all know.
Yeah, there was a point where like I demonstrated turning on a Brev instance, and it was not so much a learning experience as much of it was like a peanut gallery experience. Because everybody's trying to like, oh well, you need to try this thing. It's like, let me just destroy this machine and start over. And because there's so many things, it was too much to deal with, and I didn't troubleshooting live is never good.
Yeah.
So in that case, it was a little different, and it's something I could have done. I would do if I were not on a stream. I would do in like an hour and a half, and it took 2.5 hours.
Right.
So it definitely took longer, but it was a lot more enjoyable. And since then, I did 2 more streams. So I think I did, even though we skipped our stream, I did 3 or 4 streams last week.
Nice. Ping me next time you do one. I'd like to see how that works, because I miss that live working kind of stuff is what I used to do. It's like, hey, I've got to find some project to demo something.
Right.
Let's go through GitHub and sort by stars. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, and that was one of them was just let's look around at different UIs. And so I tried a few live, and that's how I came up with doing Open Web UI, wrote the script on my own rather than doing that live.
Right.
But and then recorded it and edited.
This topic though is also like really top of mind because like when I mentioned LM Studio, we went through OpenWebUI, we went through a few other things on Windows specifically, and like which one has an installer that if my friend had to go through again, that they could like build this back up, and it's very much in its infancy outside of like Mac and Linux. It feels like right now, and the Windows side is just catching up. So I feel like once that happens, we're going to hit like another wave. The trough of disillusionment is like further off in the distance, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it was and actually the two videos that, you know, the one from Friday and the one from today. Friday was OpenWebUI, and today's one was about Misty, which is another UI for Llama and other tools.
Right on.
Misty spelled MSTY. So at first I thought, well, is it Misty or Musty or Mosty or something else? Or is it Mystery Science Theater something? But no, it's just Misty. I asked if there was some story behind it, and said no.
MISTY?
MSTY.app.
Oh, MSTY. My apologies. Aha, got it. Very cool. Yeah, simple, best.
A nice polished website.
I like it. Yeah, unfortunately, the judging book by a cover thing is lost on me because when I see a website for a project, I very much will be more interested if it's well designed, that kind of thing. It does carry some weight with me, unfortunately. Very cool. Well, I mean, listen, we covered a lot of ground. I thought this was going to be cool. We had some topics to talk about that maybe we can get to next week. Phi, Llama 3, GPT-2. Yeah, there's tons of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, Phi is really great. I'm you know, it's not as I mean, Phi
this is the Microsoft
smaller
tiny
model
language one, or is that Phi?
It's a really tiny one. Is it as powerful? No, but it's fast, and so it's done before you. I mean, and you can kind of have this back and forth really quickly rather than having to wait. Like somebody on the Discord for Llama said, you know, they got one of these image generation tools running on their, I think it was on a Raspberry Pi, which was okay. That's kind of an interesting idea.
Pretty impressive.
And then he like showed an image. I was like, oh my God, that's image is incredible. I mean, I would go and get a Pi for that. That's really cool. How long did that take? It was like 40 hours. Like, yeah, I'm not interested. Move on.
And it's just thrashing the USB disk the entire time because it's
yeah. It's like
I used to render overnight, so it was 12 hours every render. It wasn't the end of the world.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I remember using a POV ray to generate images, and it would take forever, and you were super excited when you got that red ball on a checkerboard that everybody had.
It was at Tiny Wings on Twitter from like 4 years ago, talking about GAN and Clip and stuff like that. And I grabbed that stuff locally and would generate images overnight. It would take forever. I get through like 100 generations and then check in the morning. And it was awful. But you're right. We're getting to the point now where the models are becoming more distilled or more compact, more like less resource intensive, way more efficient. So Pi was the first one I had heard of, and I think Microsoft bought that company as well. It's like an iOS app that's really small actually, but it's surprisingly good for how lightweight it is. And then Phi, I believe, is open source, whereas Pi is closed source. And Phi is like a different team, but is also Microsoft, but open source. So there's like two tiny models out there that kind of sound the same, but aren't the same.
Yeah.
They're both pretty good.
It's
wild. We're at the point now where like offline on your phone is going to be a thing that you can just carry around with you.
Yeah, I mean, there was not that long ago. There was another model that was small enough and you could get running on your phone. And I tried on my I don't know what number of the phone this is. Maybe like 2 generations back or 1.
13, 12.
Yeah. And it was. I mean, I did 1 generation. It's like it almost depleted my entire battery like in a minute or two. It's like, oh my! I mean, like watching the number go. This is not good.
Just fully
it can run on your phone, but one question and you've got a dead phone
plugged into a UPS or something like that.
Yeah,
that's very interesting. All right. I mean, listen, we got a ton of topics to talk about next week as well. It's not
Yeah.
slowing down.
And
as far as I can tell.
I don't have anything going on next week. Do you?
I do not. I will be around. I do have some vacation in May for on the month that I'll let you know
Yeah,
about. But yeah,
okay.
I think next week I should be around. Nothing
Okay.
planned.
Me
Nothing on
too.
the go.
Great. All
All
right.
right,
We'll put it
folks.
on the calendar.
Same bad time, same bad place.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Should we
Ready?
find the end stream button?
Oh yeah, I have to do that on my side. Yeah. End stream.
Bye.